Hi everyone, it's time for my March 2021 bullet journal setup. This month is an arcade theme. For the cover page, I'm drawing a retro arcade machine. I'm super excited to tell you guys about my new Etsy shop. You can buy digital downloads of my bullet journal setups, which you can then fill out however you like. These will be perfect for those of you who don't have the time to draw your own planner, since the pre-made setups can easily be printed out and used just like a normal one. I don't have all of the bullet journal setups up yet, but please check out Easy Art Studio shop on Etsy if you're interested. On the cover page, I drew some extra elements like clouds and Pacman fruits. I want to make this look like a retro arcade game, so making everything pixely. I added a glitch effect on the arcade machine. On the title, I should have waited until later to add the black marker, because it ended up smearing later on. I would have used a different kind of marker instead, but I didn't have one that covered a large area. This Crayola marker took a super long time to dry for some reason, and that caused some smears later on. I think it was because of my paper, which isn't as absorbent. Do you guys go to the arcade often? I used to go to this one specific arcade like once a year, but I haven't been to any arcade since quarantine. I'm not really an arcade person anyway, so I don't really go. I'm starting to color the page with a dark purple. I'm going to add lighter colors on the machine later, so I left the space for it. I think the glitch effect on the machine makes it look really retro and also makes the machine look more interesting. Now I'm going to add the lighter colors. I decided to use really bright and colorful markers to contrast with the darker machine. When I think of arcades, I always think of a dark room with neon colors, so I wanted to convey that same color scheme. The green and pink are kind of neon but still pastel, so I add some color value. For the clouds, I'm picking up some ink on plastic using my purple marker. This will create a gradient from dark blue to light purple. Now you see that the black marker smeared when I colored the letters with a lighter yellow. That's why I should have put the black after the yellow. Make sure you don't mess up like I did. I'm also outlining some objects to make it bolder. I felt like the fruits didn't stand out enough. To finish it off, I'm adding some strips of black and white grid washi tape. This is the final cover page. It looks super cool. Next is the calendar. I'm starting by drawing a standard grid for calendar boxes. In some spots, I added that glitch effect. When you make the pixels of the glitch, make sure to keep the lines as straight and rectangular as possible, so that it looks like actual pixels. Again, I'm drawing the objects around the page. On the side, I'm drawing an arcade machine. This is actually going to be my notes section. I also left some gaps in the calendar line so that I can draw the clouds and objects in between. What's your favorite arcade game? Mine is Pacman. I'm pretty basic. When I was in school and I was already done with all of my work, there would be literally nothing to do, so I would just play Pacman on my computer to pass time. I also drew some little arcade game characters like Space Invaders and Flappy Bird. I guess Flappy Bird isn't really an arcade game, but they used to have Flappy Bird at the arcade I went to. Next, I'm finishing the inside of the calendar. It's pretty standard. The only thing that's different is the border that goes around the edge. Please click the like button if you're enjoying this so far. It will really help this video reach out to more people. Okay, I'm not going to make the same mistake again. In order to prevent smearing, I'm doing the yellow first and then I'll add the black. Unfortunately, I forgot to do this order in some of the next spreads later on. Next, I'm coloring the calendar in the bright pink. On the side, I'm finishing the notes box. I wanted to leave a white space for the letters, so I outlined it first. I will write my notes on the window of the arcade machine. I know it's really small, but I found that I don't really need to use the notes box that much. I usually just write only one or two things. I also added some green to make it look like it has glowing light coming off of it. After that, I'm just coloring the other items. I stuck to the colors besides pink and dark purple, since those colors were already on the page. Now for the calendar days of the weeks and dates. I'm adding a pink rectangle around each date, which will add more color. I'm using a dark purple to black out the days that aren't part of March. I'm adding a purple outline to the boxes, but I only did it horizontally so that it wouldn't be too overwhelming. Now for the quote. I'm writing it like one of those video game message boxes which pops up with dialogue or instructions. The quote has nothing to do with arcades, it's just something that I hope will stop me from procrastinating every day. I realized I forgot to draw the borders of arcade machines, so that's why it looked so weird earlier. I'm using a white gel pen to make the letters clear. Of course, I'm adding some washi tape to finish the page off. Oh, and I almost forgot, I still need to add the purple drop shadow to everything. Now we're actually finished. On to the next page. This is the brain dump and test tracker page. I usually make separate pages for each of these spreads, but I decided to connect them for this setup. You'll see why soon. Since these two pages are connected, I'm making a border that extends across both of the pages instead of just one. I also added the glitches in the borderline. Next, I'll draw the clouds. Now you see why I decided to make this a two-page spread. So I'm actually drawing a platformer style game. It's kind of like Mario with the floating platforms and coins. When I was younger, I actually used to make custom platformer games on this site, which I don't remember the name of. Now I'm making the test tracker. This is just a table for students to log details about upcoming tests. You can also use this to log other things like expenses or exercise. Now for the background, I'm coloring the border with a dark purple. I plan on using lighter colors on the inside of the page, so this will add a nice contrast to the spread. Now I'll finish coloring everything. The tree was super fun to color. I tried to keep it pixely while using 3 different shades. It kind of looks like a sakura tree. Usually the platforms are brown, but I used purple so that it matches the color scheme. I wanted to add some brighter colors on the inside, so I used pink for my test tracker. This pink is the boldest color in this month's color scheme. The title looks like it says brain test. I'll fix that by making the second word stand out more. I'm using the cloud coloring technique from before to add the shadow to the platforms. This works perfectly because the platforms are purple, so it matches with the blue-purple gradient. I'm also using that technique to color the bottom parts of the clouds. I specifically chose more green washi tape since there wasn't much green on the page. Notice anything different? Yeah, I changed the background to black. I think it looks better. On to the next page. This is my habit tracker and sleep tracker. These two pages will also be connected, but I won't be doing that platformer thing again. This time I decided to change my usual page layout to see if I could find a way to save more space. I'll talk about that later. I made little glitches in the habit trackers. The floating trackers kind of reminds me of that platformer game drawing from the previous page. I added a title bar on top that's kind of slanted. Now I'm filling in each mini calendar with the boxes for each day of March. I'll color in a box each time I do a habit, and at the end of the month it will look like pixels because some boxes are filled in and some are not. I recently switched from doing mood trackers to sleep trackers, which changed the amount of free space I have for drawing. Sleep trackers are just one large bar graph, so it takes up a lot of space, which leaves me with little room for drawing. This time I'm doing a horizontal layout. Now I can have more free space for drawings. The horizontal axis is for the dates, and the vertical axis is for the time I woke up and went to bed. I split the numbers into 2 sections, one for the bedtimes and one for the wake-up times. I'll show you how to use the sleep tracker at the end. Okay, now I'm drawing some clouds and other objects around the page. The pixely Pacman fruits are perfect for filling in empty spaces and adding some color to the page. Yes, I finally remembered to color the letters in the right order. Now it's time to color everything. For the titles, I alternated between pink and green. I mostly use lighter colors for the upper half of the page. On the sleep tracker, I used a darker purple for the dates. I know that the page looks really light right now, but I plan on using darker color lines to fill in the sleep tracker each day. I used the dark purple marker to outline the mini calendars. This helps them stand out more. I'm creating a green bar from 11 p.m. because that's my goal bedtime. I had to redraw the numbers with a white gel pen since they got covered up with the marker. Now it's time for the washi tape. Here's how you use it. Usually I would fill this out the next morning so that I have all of the information. First, I'll put a mark at the time I went to bed today. Then I'll put a mark at the time I woke up. Now just connect the two lines. At the end, you will see if the top line is lower or higher, which indicates if you slept earlier or later. Now you see why I put two of the same vertical bars on each end, right? It helps me position my lines on the graph. On to the weekly spread. This is a place for me to write my weekly to-do list and tasks for the first week of March. Similar to the brain-down page, I'm creating a border. I also added a box on the right corner for decorative purposes. It's like that box in video games which shows how much money you've collected. I'm also adding lots of clouds in between the lines. Now I'm drawing my daily boxes. I decided to make them look like arcade machines, so each day will have a different machine. This is also where I added the glitches. You can see that I added a little Pacman fruit on each corner of the machine. I made each machine a different shape and design. I also left out those joystick controllers that arcade machines usually have, since I don't want them to go into the writing box. I'm going to be writing my to-do list on the arcade screen. Yeah, I know that it looks really small, so I have to keep my handwriting small if I want to fit all of the information in this box. This whole page is basically just for decoration. It's not really the most practical use of space, but at least it looks cool, right? I probably won't do this decorative setup for next week. I like to keep my bullet journal practical and functional, so this is just a one-time thing. To make it look even more like a game, I'm adding my player profile thing. I don't really know what this is called. I made it look like a game, but I also customized it to be art related. Now I'm coloring everything in. This looks like a mix between a video game and an arcade. It seems like you're in a video game and you're on the starting screen choosing your arcade game. I really like coloring in the arcade machine. It was fun to create different color combinations. I tried to make each one different and unique. I tried to make sure that there wasn't too much of the same colors next to each other. I also added some stripes on the arcade machines. It makes each one look even more unique. The weekend boxes are just normal. They only have colored borders. Next, I'm adding some final details. The profile thing is pretty cool. I think you can customize it in so many different ways. I really think that this page is my favorite from this setup. Now all that's left is washi tape. I decided to rewrite some of the words since it got covered up by the marker. And now for the final flip through. I really love how this setup turned out. Don't forget to check out my shop if you're interested in bullet journal printable download. Please give this video a like. Thank you so much for watching and I'll see you next time.